and welcome to the Talkcast Podshow, the #1 show on the internet, and a consistent reminder to spay and neuter your pets. I'm your host, the burly bear with too much hair, Lani, and I'm joined by the Titanic tiger whose edits are fire, Kaiser Neko.
Is this because we're talking about Beastars?
I mean, kinda.
Okay.
Also, I literally just thought of that 10 seconds ago. I'm like, screw it, I'm going with that. Yeah, I was relatively off the cuff and unrehearsed, so I'm proud of myself. Thank you, sir.
I feel like that's most of you.
Yeah.
You're one of the best improv guys in the entire studio.
Aw. I mean, Kieran and Grant definitely give me a massive run for
I
my
said
money
one
there.
of.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Dinner Time Gaming, now on TFS Gaming. Anyway, yeah, we are going to be talking about Beastars today, because I ended up watching through that, and I feel like we'll also do a quick wrap around on everything that we've seen on Loki. But before we get to that, we got a little segment we like to call the Rundown due to my furious love of the Christopher Walken / Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson action piece from the early 2000s.
I actually don't remember if I saw that. I feel like I might have.
It's purely enjoyable and not great, but it is fun. It's a fun movie. I think, who's the other guy in it? It's like Sean William Scott. Remember when he was around for a while?
You know what? If it was the one with Sean William Scott, I have in fact seen it.
Yeah.
I was a big, for some reason, watching Stifler be in other films and not being Stifler when I was a kid was that is what I want to see.
Is he still doing things these days?
I don't think so.
I mean, he was in a lot of stuff in the early 2000s that he probably doesn't really have to.
He was in Bulletproof Monk, and I remember that.
I really liked that.
I also remember Bulletproof Monk mostly because Bulletproof Monk actually leaked online, but it was the version before it went to theaters. So Funkmaster, the guy with Funkmaster on his chest, was originally Fuckmaster.
Oh man,
that movie.
I think the unrated cut.
Yeah, I think that movie was supposed to be R-rated, and then they edited it down to PG-13.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of that movie. I just remember Sean William Scott liked kung fu movies or something.
Yeah, and
but then there was another movie that came out that did the exact same premise, but with Jackie Chan and Jet Li, Forbidden Kingdom. Except the guy got sucked into the kung fu movie.
Did that happen? Oh well.
It was a movie, and I actually really liked that one. But anyway, going into the rundown, not a whole lot that I can think of this week outside of, we had Black Widow pop out, we had Space Jam 2, neither of which I've seen, but I believe you have.
It pains me to say that Black Widow was the better of the two movies.
Oh.
Black Widow, okay, so Black Widow is the most baseline Marvel movie I've seen in a while. And it's got some really good shit going on. The family dynamic that she has, some of the action scenes are really spectacular. I love Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, and I can't remember her name.
As a send-off for the character, how does this feel?
Poor.
Oh.
Because it's it delves into her past, her everything that happened in her life before she got to the Avengers, but not in any interesting deep manner, more a lot of surface level shit. It also, again, it deals with her family, the people that she grew up with. She grew up in a spy family in fucking Ohio. That's talked about early on. That's not a huge spoiler. But they go over her sister, which, by the way, best part of the film. 100%.
Played by the girl from Midsommar, if I'm correct.
Yes. She is stupendous all the way throughout. She's the reason to see the film, actually, if I'm going to be really honest with you. And some genuinely good lines, some genuinely good action, but the story itself is kind of up and down. And I'm going to be really honest with you. The post-credit in this one is not only the worst post-credit out of the entire MCU. It's insultingly bad.
Oh, does it tie into because I know the movie takes place right after Civil War, right?
Yeah. Which, by the way, anybody who showing an MCU virgin these movies, you can definitely just show them Black Widow immediately after they watch Civil War, but do not show them the post-credit. The post-credit is set
post-Endgame stuff.
It post Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh.
With a character from Falcon and Winter Soldier, who I have quickly come to hate.
Oh.
And yeah, her appearance here is obnoxious, and it's all a setup for Hawkeye.
The next Disney Plus series.
Yes. Thanks. I fucking hate it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mind the movies trying to tie into the shows that they're doing, but this just felt really bad.
One thing that, like, from every criticism I've heard from the movie, the one thing I don't hear anybody talking about is Taskmaster, who I think is one of the more interesting villains in Marvel.
You can't talk about Taskmaster because there's a part of the Taskmaster within the movie, Taskmaster in the movie that nobody wants to spoil, and I would feel bad spoiling it. But I will say this. I'm gonna say this, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, and I'm really sorry, but remember Deadpool from Wolverine Origins?
Yes.
It is that level of reveal.
Oh.
Yeah.
They just kind of butcher him then. Huh.
Yeah. And it's something that you kind of get very early on because, spoiler alert, the character never talks.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad because Taskmaster is like, as a character, as a like his concept, the idea that he studies somebody, learns their moves, and can all like he can just mimic them perfectly, up to like peak level human physicality. Like he's not going to be as strong as the Hulk, but he can replicate the Hulk's form. It's like he has the Sharingan, basically. Like he can do what he sees.
Which that's really cool for a comic like for a comic character. Really cool concept, especially when they're allowed to be their own character. With a personality and their own thoughts. And
but since he got buried in a movie that was shot after Endgame but takes place way before it, you kind of know that nothing really comes of it, which is sad.
Yeah, in fact, them including Taskmaster, honestly, they just should not have added Taskmaster. Like, if you're gonna do Taskmaster, give him
let him do some stuff.
Let him actually be his character and not because they do tie him into the story. He has a place in this story,
and he makes sense as like a Black Widow or Hawkeye villain.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he would have been fine if he had been the villain, but he's not. Like you have to see it to understand it, but.
I will eventually, probably when it's like either free on Disney Plus or if it's on an airplane somewhere.
And the worst part is, if it hadn't been Taskmaster in the role in the movie, and just maybe something that the movie had created for it,
just a ninja.
Yeah, it would have been fine. It would have been all right. It would have been weird, but it would have been okay.
But they needed that name recognition.
Yeah, the fact that they made Sorry, I'm trying not to spoil too much, but
no worries. How about Space Jam?
Fucking hell. I love Don Cheadle is a goddamn national treasure. I just want to put it out there. I love Don Cheadle. Everything Don Cheadle's been doing lately, in fact, as his run as Donald Duck. Mwah, beautiful, absolutely fantastic. People keep saying, "Oh, the first Space Jam wasn't very good." I'm like,
which it wasn't.
It wasn't very good.
But
no.
It was like a.
It was unique. It was fun.
It was unique.
Cute.
It was the first time we'd gotten something like that since Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, and it was fun, and also the soundtrack was good. Like, we all remember that movie. We all have fond memories of it. It wasn't like it was a giant commercial for basically the NBA and Nike, etc.
But since Space Jam, we've had so many things that have done, from at least what I've seen from the trailers, fairly similar things. From what I understand, LeBron James gets sucked into the internet or something like that, something akin to that.
The WB servers.
Okay, the Warner verse.
Yes.
And so you're basically doing Ralph Breaks the Internet, but with...
Ralph Breaks the Internet meets
LeBron
Ready
James.
Player One, meets Space Jam 1, meets a terrible, terrible idea.
Yeah. Is there... Okay, so let's not focus on negativity. Let's say let's focus on redeeming qualities of the movie. Let's see how many you can list.
There is one incredibly good joke.
Okay.
That I can't spoil.
Can't spoil it, but there is an incredibly good joke.
Yes, and it has to do with Michael Jordan. That's all I'll say. They make an amazing Michael Jordan joke.
Okay.
Beyond that, let's see. Some of the 2D animation was good. Most of it was very lazy. Okay, I hate calling it lazy because I know that all the animators on that probably work.
But it just
very
didn't
well.
look. It just didn't get executed as well as you think it maybe could have.
I look at the animation for Space Jam 1 and I see way more interesting movements, camera angles, like detail. Everything looked better. Every bit of the 2D animation in Space Jam 1 looks better than everything in Space Jam 2.
How would you compare it to something that is 20 or so, probably more than 20 years older than it, Roger Rabbit? Because that is like the quintessential animation live action crossover movie.
I feel like it's kind of really difficult to compare them because at this point the technologies being used are so significantly
of course,
different.
but that's why I think the comparison would be like...
The problem I found was just that, like, there's like one scene in the entire movie where 2D interacts with live action. Only one scene in the entire movie, and that's when like there's a scene where the villain interacts with LeBron. You know what? Yeah, it's when the villain interacts with LeBron and the Toons, because in this movie, when LeBron goes to Toon World, he turns into a Toon.
Oh.
Yeah. Because in the Warner-verse, when you go to that universe, you become a part of it. Which it didn't happen in any of the other movies, by the way.
Already breaking the Space Jam canon.
Which I'll tell you, didn't happen when Granny and Speedy Gonzalez go to the Matrix universe.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they stayed as Toons. But when LeBron James goes to Toon World, see, this is why the movie failed. This
specific reason.
Yeah, no, sorry, it's just, when it comes to talking about good things in this film, I will say this, LeBron James is a better actor than Michael Jordan. I'll give him that. He definitely is a better actor than Michael Jordan.
I don't think Michael Jordan ever took like acting classes or anything. I think he was Michael Jordan. He didn't have to. He could show up on he could walk out on the street and be swarmed immediately. Like,
yeah, this is not my indictment of Michael Jordan.
Oh, absolutely not. There are plenty of things to indict him on, but
I am merely saying that, hey, LeBron, you pulled it off. You acted decently well. Also, there's a great joke at the very beginning of the movie where the Warner Brother executives literally sit him down and propose the whole premise of the movie, and LeBron James just responds with, "That sounds like a terrible idea. NBA players and movies, that never goes well." And I'm like, okay, that's pretty good.
It's kind of right.
Yeah, no, it is nothing but a soulless, humorless cash grab.
But it points it out itself. So
yeah, so that completely
it's meta.
absolves it of all of its issues. By the way, I don't know if anyone here at home knows this, but if you want to make terrible jokes and get away with it, all you have to do is just acknowledge that you're making terrible jokes.
We've done that for years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard. There's also a Rick and Morty joke that's pretty good.
Okay, yeah, I heard they made a pop in. It's weird. I've had opportunities to see it. I have HBO Max. When you texted me and said you were like going to go see it in theaters, I would have gone with you if you guys had like space by you to jam.
I genuinely only I wanted to see it in theaters because I knew that if I saw it at my computer, I was going to just, if it was bad, I was going to zone out entirely, and I wanted to at least try and give it a fair shake.
Yeah, but since it is on HBO Max, on that, which I really like the fact that they're doing this. I know they aren't going to keep doing it because it's, whoa boy, is it not making them money. It's probably sold a number of HBO Max subscriptions though. So I don't know how well that translates, but I've had so many chances to see it, but I watched Beastars instead and Loki. And I guess we can move on to talking about the wrap-up of Loki. There's a bit of a tie in there because we got to see Loki's first Sona, or scale Sona, Gator Loki.
Alligator,
adorable.
Alligator Loki is not only fantastic just as a concept, but his use in the movie or the show. I'm actually really glad that he doesn't just kind of sit there; he actually interacts. That was
bites people's hands off and things.
I'm surprised they got away with that.
They did a lot of interesting stuff with Loki. I know it turned a lot of people off. There are a lot of people out there that just don't like the show, found it too long and drawn out. But it did some real high concept sci-fi bullshit that I'm a mark for. I love weird time travel, cosmic shit in my sci-fi.
I loved it. I absolutely like. I didn't love all of it. There were some parts of it that kind of like missed me, but genuinely,
the action specifically, it never got better.
Actually,
there was one good fight scene, I think.
The one at the end is pretty good. In fact, if I'm going to be honest, I was really hard on it last time. The really truly bad action scene was that one where it was her and him versus a bunch of TV agent. No, is it TVA?
Yeah. I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, that one sucked. But
the action isn't. I mean, here's the thing: the action has not been great in that show, but the action was not the focus of that show. It's all character driven, and the character stuff I feel like they did pretty well.
Yeah, the character stuff was phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed the fact that they let scenes actually. This is one of the few Marvel properties I've watched in a while where I did not feel like the Marvel humor was ruining all of its emotional scenes.
Yeah.
I really honestly felt like a lot of them sat and worked exactly as they were supposed to. We got moments for these, they let the emotional moments breathe. I appreciated that. Sometimes they ran a little long. I think it sometimes kind of went in the opposite direction.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of criticism that I've heard from people that haven't been a huge fan say it's really drawn out. And I can kind of agree, but I think it fits the pace of the show.
Yeah. I actually could have seen this as possibly as a movie. Very, very possibly.
You'd have had to have cut a lot of things, I think. Some pretty good things, too. In order to make that really work. Or it would have needed to have been 2 movies. Because I feel like the, 6 hours that we got out of this, you maybe could have trimmed some here and there. But overall, it didn't feel like it outstayed its welcome.
To be fair, it's not actually 6 hours.
No, but approximately. Yeah. 40 minutes to an hour per episode.
I did very much I appreciated this show. It was one of the most exciting things to come out of Marvel since the first half of WandaVision.
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier still has a place. There's still a lot of things in the show.
Falcon and Winter Soldier still isn't bad, but it is objectively, well, not objectively, in my opinion, it is still the least enjoyable of the 3 Disney Plus shows that we've gotten so far.
Even though, for me, it raises some of the most interesting questions, posits some real deep, I like the social commentary of Falcon and Winter Soldier a lot, and I feel like it's super important. It's something that's oh, hey, cool, we have a piece of comic book media that's actually tackling real, interesting, important subjects.
It tries to tackle these issues. Whether or not it succeeds is kind of up in the air, but it's addressing things that are of current importance, like comic books usually do.
Yes, and that is something that they, in fact, have always done, and I'm tired of having that argument. But out of all 3 of them, at the moment, Loki is now number 1. I will say this. The first half of WandaVision is, really my number 1. But
first half of WandaVision is great. I even really like, the Agatha reveal. I really, really enjoyed WandaVision.
It's unfortunate because the Agatha reveal is where it stops being on top and then goes.
You mean after the Agatha reveal?
Yes, right? The Agatha reveal is the last part I feel of what WandaVision was really truly successful at, and then everything after it is just such a
marble.
You're going from a 9 back to a 6, and it hurts that much more because that 6, if it had been a 6 all the way through, I think it would have hurt less. But the fact that it was all this stuff that I really loved and going back to basic bitch Marvel, I was no.
I don't know. I liked WandaVision throughout. We had a whole episode chatting about that. Yeah. So definitely feel free to go back on that one.
One thing that somebody told me about Loki, though, I can't actually get out of my head now. It really bothers me. And some people try to say that this has been explained, but I don't remember this being explained. If you are in a place outside time, when are you supposed to get the alarm that there's a time branch happening?
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. There are plenty of logical leaps that you have to make in this.
Yeah.
But what they're doing with it, I mean, as long as you can kind of turn your brain off for some of the unexplainable mystic sci-fi, I think it's fine. Yeah, you treat it less like Star Trek and more like Star Wars. It's just accept it.
It's a minor complaint. I know that I think they're at the end of time is where the TVA is. It's it's basically as it's going.
Mm-hmm.
They're but that still is when does? But if it's gonna happen, no matter what, or if it happens, why don't you get? What are they? Why are they all coming in at the same? You know what? It's fine.
I
It's fine.
did like that moment in the scene where they're talking to the one that remains.
Yes.
And he's just sitting there for a moment, and you just hear this sound. He's looking around. There it is. We just passed the threshold of everything that I know.
Yeah, that scene. That is one of the best scenes, and actually like. Most of Marvel, just because of how
it showed some really cool acting too, because like the guy's just like, this is weird.
Yeah, I am very excited to see him come back. Mm-hmm. Like he like, oh man, what a great scene, what a great character, what a great actor. That finale is too padded out. I will say that it is I was kind of frustrated by how
they had a lot to pack in there though.
They didn't have enough to pack into where they couldn't like spend 5 minutes in silence. Like I got what they were going for, but it also got a little much. It's like, okay, someone get the editor in here and tell them that you can cut stuff. It's okay.
I don't know, man. I think the last episode might actually be my favorite of them all.
I'm not saying it's bad. In fact, I'm saying it's probably my favorite finale out of all three of them right now.
Also because I think this is the first one where they actually say, we're doing a season 2 of this. I'm like, oh, cool.
I do think that it benefits from a season 2.
Yes. This continuity, I cannot see jumping just into the MCU.
Yeah. Initially, I thought it was going to only be one. Like, initially, I was like, you know what? This probably only needs to be the one season. But after seeing what they did, I'm like, oh, you know what? No, I actually think that season 2 of this could be really cool.
There's a lot to explore.
I will say, I hope that season 2 explores a little bit more of what season 1 seemed to kind of imply. I've seen a lot of people really frustrated by the fact that there wasn't more time spent in other timelines, other universes, other versions of characters.
Well, I think it's definitely going to be doing that based on how the first season ended.
And I'm really excited. I hope that happens because honestly, while I was very much okay with the story that we got, because I didn't have many expectations, I can understand how a lot of people were sort of disappointed because it seemed to imply we were going to get more multiverse shenanigans. Although we're also about to get 3 multiverse movies, so I don't know if anybody has too much.
Yeah, the Marvel What If.
Well, yeah, you have What Ifs. Then you also have Multiverse of Madness, Quantumania, and the Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, you're going to this is going to be a very interesting, what they do here is either going, this is sink or swim for the MCU, I think, because after Endgame, which felt so definitively like an end of a goddamn saga, you could have stopped there and everything would have been all right.
Yeah.
But they're continuing on just like comic books always have, and now you're going to end up with this situation where, okay, can we carry on without Robert Downey Jr., without Chris Evans? And we'll see with only one more film booked with James Gunn. We'll see where this goes.
I really, really, really fucking hope that James Gunn nails it with Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I'm really excited for his Guardians 3. I'm also tentatively excited for his Suicide Squad. I want to see what he does there.
You better bet. I think the Alamo's going to be open by then.
It's opening in August, according to their website. So I'm just fingers crossed.
I absolutely want to see that film at the Alamo.
Yeah, that's another reason I've been tentative to go back to movie theaters. I just want to wait for the one I like going to open.
Yeah, we're kind of pretentious like that. The Alamo Drafthouse is our baby.
It's really good, and the food's good. We love the staff there. Hopefully, I'm sure they're doing a bit of a turnover since they shut down for literally a year. But
also, I will say this: I love the fact that they keep people shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you raise a complaint, they give you a warning. You raise a second complaint, they're get the fuck out.
Yeah, and also I think they're not allowed to bring in kids for certain films at certain times.
But they do have rowdy showings for some movies.
I love the rowdy showings. Yeah. I've done a couple of them so far.
But what did you think of all of the Loki variants that we got to meet? Outside of Gator Loki, which was adorable. I loved Old Man I-1 Loki.
Yeah, he was
actual comic book, old school Golden Age Loki.
That, I think, is what people were looking for more of. My favorite Loki is the Vote for Loki.
Oh,
direct reference to the they're all direct references to the comic, but that was the one where it was I know that one.
Yeah, there were so many comic references there. The one that I saw Twitter go wild over was Frog Thor.
I heard people going crazy over the Thanos copter, which if you're gonna do a cut, that's a pretty good cut.
They had so many opportunities for that was probably one of the cooler parts of the show is how many deep cuts they could make into like the comics without any problem with the actual MCU. But seeing old ass, like, I don't deal with knives, I don't fight things, I just do weird, tricky magic Loki, and unleashing this massive power where he created this huge illusion of Asgard. Oh, so cool.
Yeah, which, by the way, I really like where he's like, no, you don't understand. Knives limit us. You're thinking too much of tools. You should be thinking about your own power and the only things you can do. And I'm like, ooh, that's really cool. I like that. Yeah. I hope that comes back in season 2.
And even Loki talking to Sylvie there, how's he doing that? I think we're a lot stronger than we think we are.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to spoil anything at the end, but man, I wasn't sure where that was going to go. One of my favorite lines in the entire series, by the way, is, because you can't trust anyone and I can't be trusted. And I'm like,
it's a great way to paint that relationship. I mean, it was all in the subtext already. Saying it out loud may have cheapened it for some people, but I liked it. I liked the line.
I like it because it's okay for your characters to speak the text sometimes, as long as it's done in the right moment with the right dialogue. And I felt like that was perfect. His delivery, the line, great scene. I'm sorry, I'm just so happy to have a full MCU story with themes, with an interesting plot, with great characters, and phenomenal actors. Fucking Mobius is a boss.
Yes. I was curious because I wanted to touch base, because one thing, the last time we touched on Loki was when they just introduced Sylvie, and you were really worried that they were going to do a love plot tie-in with them. But I think the reason for it makes a lot of sense because of their narcissism and how they are, in fact, just very much alone. I think that adds a lot to it.
I feel like it cheapens it a little bit. I'll be honest. I feel like them falling in love with each other cheapens it just a little. Also, it's a little weird. Not like offensive. I'm not outraged. Just a little weird. Just the slightest bit weird. But also, like, you're right. It does make sense. I just really liked the way that it was developing them as like people understanding and getting to know each other and thus themselves. So having it also be a romance was a little okay. It's not the worst thing. It didn't kill it for me.
They didn't treat it as like a super sappy romance either, which I think helped.
I really liked their moments with them, their soft moments. Yeah. Those worked. I think that's why it doesn't bother me too much, because at least it worked. At least they worked for it.
It's not even something where it's necessarily a romantic love between them. It is just a genuine affection.
Yeah. But that being said, it's Loki is good to me. I think Loki is legitimately the most solid out of the 3 shows to come out so far.
Yeah, I can certainly agree with that. Now on to another show that also came out recently. Beastars. This, I swear to God, is one of the most sexually charged shows I have ever seen in my goddamn life.
I'd like to point out that in the Beastars video that I made, I said that it was only going to get hornier, and I had some people
it got, whoa.
Yeah.
No show on Earth has put in more mileage trying to make me want to have sex with a deer. It put in fucking work.
The next 2, and I warning, the next 2 seasons.
It's not done.
There's 2 more seasons.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean they've only greenlit the 3rd season, but you cannot do the 3rd season without doing the 4th. Much like you could not have done the 2nd season or 1st season without doing the 2nd.
Yeah, I felt like the 2nd season, I feel like kind of put a bow on a lot of things here, where you could conceivably end it here and I'd be fine.
I think it was up in the air. I think depending on its success, we were gonna figure out whether or not they were gonna get a 3rd season. I'm really happy we're getting a 3rd season because the story is not done. Like while they wrapped up the main plot, there's still Haru and Legoshi, which is the driving line throughout it. And also there's a character that we haven't met, actually 2 characters, but one very specifically that we haven't met yet, that I am very, very excited for the anime audience to meet.
Okay. But yeah, I swear every other shot in this show is somebody like doing something like there's so many suggestive poses. The one that sticks in my mind the most is very close to the end. I'm not going to spoil the context for it, but Legoshi's holding up Louie's leg and they're just like looking into each other's eyes.
Oh,
just like,
yeah.
What are you even?
Or how about the scene with Pina and Legoshi in the dark? Or how about the scene?
What about? Do you want to eat me?
Yeah, like for fuck's sake, no,
Lord.
Yeah, like weirdly enough, the scene where Haru is literally undoing his pants is less sexually charged than those two characters.
Every scene with Haru and Legoshi is less sexually charged than most of the scenes in season 2.
With Legoshi and Pina, or Legoshi and Louie, or Riz and Pina. It's just over and over.
Dear Lord. I mean, and on top of it all, like just when you look through that, like when you can like you get numb to it eventually. Like a scene will pop up and you'll just be like, really? Here we are again. But like even through that, the story is still really good.
Yeah.
Like it's a good show.
But
it's one of those shows that like if I was still living at home, I'd be like living with my parents, I'd be like, I can't watch this unless I'm alone.
You want to emotionally devastate yourself?
Sure.
You know the ending, the ending credits? Mm-hmm. There's a music video for that song with an extended version that shows what happens after that shot. Oh. Yeah, it shows the entire way that scene plays out. You should watch that. I cried. I actually fucking cried.
That's another thing about this show. It has like another opening that fucking slaps, and then the ending theme is also really good too. Like, God, the music.
I will say, the visuals for the opening.
Visuals, yeah, but I like the song.
Yeah, Kaibutsu is a fucking bop. Like initially I was like, this is a little more traditionally anime for me in comparison to the opening for the original. But over time, I think I've actually come to like the opening for the second season more than the first. Yeah. But the visuals for the ending blew me away.
The watercolors that feel like, kind of very light color pencil. The animation, my God, this show does so many things so incredibly well.
I will say this, you're absolutely right. The animation and like art direction in this, stupendous. I have no actual problems with how it was presented on its terms. But man, I actually went back and I reread some of the manga to I wanted to just kind of watch certain scenes, see how they changed it for the anime, because they changed a lot in terms of like scene structure. They cut some stuff, they shortened some stuff, they packed a lot of shit in. It really is super felt in the last episode, by the way. That last episode is big.
It felt a little rushed, but not to the point where I was put off by it.
They cut like a lot there. I'm really hoping they cover it in the next season. But the art style is vastly different from because they couldn't. Paru Itagaki's art style is heavily cartoonish in some places. Stuff that they just could not do for the anime on a regular basis. Like sometimes you'd get it. Occasionally, for like some reaction shots, they did it. But I really miss some of the great use of perspective, of expression that Paru Itagaki does in the manga that is missing, unfortunately, from the anime because of the way that it's done. And now that's not my indictment of Orange or their production for season 2. It's gorgeous, and it's a very effective story that's told insanely well with amazing actors. Also the music. Oh my God.
Yeah, the music, like so much of the production value that went into this show. Like I can't think of many things that I'd actually complain about, or any off the top of my head, really.
Yeah, for me, hey, everybody, get your shots ready. Somebody who read the manga, there were some parts where I'm like, oh no, this scene was so, like, if this scene were allowed to breathe, it would have been so much more impactful. Like,
see, man, this is why you gotta stop spoiling yourself. You read Watchmen before you watch the movie. Oh, it's awful. I mean, it's not great, but yeah.
But that being said, I am still very much a fan of Orange's interpretation of Beastars, including both seasons 1 and 2. Peanut's theme is fucking great, by the way. I don't know if you noticed his theme, but every time he shows up, the music that plays is so good.
Yeah, I like that this season, where last season, like both of these seasons felt very film noir in terms of like their ongoing plot, but this one really delved into the detective stuff.
Yeah, that's because, like, whereas the first season is a lot closer to slice of life with a underlying, like...
Yeah, it didn't really get into big plot stuff until,
the
last 3 episodes or so.
Here, no, we already got there. We went there. And the first couple episodes actually try to put you sort of back into that, but at some point it's like, no, we are now in full-on crime suspense stuff.
Yeah, and it was very notable. The biggest differential feel of losing that slice of life stuff is the fact that Haru has like no role in this season.
Yeah, Haru, unfortunately, really, and this happens in the manga too. She gets pushed back quite a bit for this part of the story.
I can't imagine what she'd be doing in this chunk of the story. But
I'm really glad because they did go out of their way to give her 1 or 2 scenes with Legoshi, like on the steps and stuff. The anime does try and make sure that she pops up throughout, but yeah, it is a little odd, which is why I'm so glad that we're getting a season 3 and 4, because if this had been Haru's, like, where they went with Haru,
yeah,
for like,
because like where they left off with Haru here, their entire relationship just seems fucked.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Like, because they're on completely different wavelengths, which is really interesting as like a character study to watch during their conversations. How Legoshi actually seems incredibly possessive and manipulative, very macho canine features, I guess.
Yeah.
But Haru is trying to explain, hey, if you just talk to me more, if you just hang out more, maybe if you, spent any time with me, he's like, I got it, we'll get married.
I like the fact that Legoshi is such a loser.
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot.
But he's also, like, for all the bad qualities about Legoshi, they're balanced out by very good qualities.
Yeah, he's incredibly loyal. He's protective, often to his detriment.
Yeah, he has a sense of justice that is...
He has this code of honor, and also possibly to his detriment.
Yes. He is, like, anybody who likes Legoshi sort of has to accept him as the full package, because there are times where, he's possessive, manipulative, and just kind of a loser. But that doesn't mean all the other stuff doesn't exist too, and that you can't still love him. Somebody said he's a himbo, and I'm like, yeah, he's by and large very much a himbo.
He's also like incredibly relatable to that fact, just because I appreciate flawed characters. There is not a character in this show outside of Golden Boy, Ben Disc, and Golden Retriever that doesn't have any flaws.
Have fun with season 3.
Oh no, does he get flaws? Oh no, does he get fleas?
It's actually really funny. They because I think Haru Itagaki knew that Jack's story, like, it's nothing dark or anything, but there is something that she does where she kind of acknowledges, like, Jack's kind of literally a golden boy. Let's have some fun with that whole concept. And there's a really neat story thing that she does with him. But yeah, like, every character in this is just a little, or maybe very, very fucked. Also, something I pulled away from this season, and that now that I've read the entire manga, one of the major things that people try to pull away is this about racism? Is it about sexism? Is it about classism? What is all this about? Yeah. I think I know the overarching theme that Haru Itagaki was going for with Beastars. And it is, do not let society tell you who or what you are.
Yeah.
Do not let society be the one to decide the person that you are and want to be. Don't let them dictate just because you're black or white, male or female, a golden retriever or a white rabbit. Let it be the person that you want to be and show the world that you don't fit in the box that they put you in.
Live your truth.
Yeah, and I think that, more than anything, is the thing that you're supposed to take away from this particular story.
Unless your truth is eating people.
Unless you're... But even season 2 still, like, talks about that. It's like, hey, this is more than just, like, good, evil. There's a balance that's being struck here. Like, when Louis joins the Shishigumi.
Mm-hmm. And they, like... That was one part that I felt like could have used a little bit more fleshing out, because this is a minor spoiler for fairly early on. At the end of the first season, he just shot dead their leader. And so everybody pops in and they're like, ah, crap, boss is dead. What do we do now? They just kind of start arguing with each other. And then Louie's like, hey, stop ignoring me. Just fucking eat me already. And then one of the lions like, no, stop. I like this kid's guts. Which is also like a very lion thing. Like, oh, somebody took out the alpha lion. You're in charge now, buddy. So Louie's in charge of the lion Yakuza. And... but then they kind of end up in this weird situation where he wakes up, like they took care of him after he passed out, and they set him up in front of like a steak at like a dinner, and all of a sudden going through his mind is, man, what am I doing here? If I don't eat this, they'll eat me. I'm like, isn't that what you were going for?
Yeah, unfortunately in that, it's implied that in that moment he'd given up hope. But afterwards,
he regained some hope, like, there's a way out of this.
Yeah, especially because he was being challenged. That's the problem with Louis. He got challenged in that moment of, hey, if you don't do this, we'll eat you. And he's like, fuck you. I'll eat this goddamn
I'm gonna eat this steak. Oh, delicious. Another. Fuck.
Yeah. Which I also, I will say, there are some pacing issues, and that might have gotten some more time in the manga.
I feel like of the things that got cut, that seems like one of those things that probably would have been elaborated on, because I felt like they went from like, okay, just fucking eat me, to, oh no, they're going to eat me in like 5 seconds.
There's not too much more time in the manga, but again, when you're reading it, things are a little bit more paced out. You get to kind of decide the pace at which you're reading a lot of this stuff. So it does feel a little bit like, well, he was just about ready to die, and now here he's thinking about fighting for his life. But you also have to imagine, like, in that moment he'd given up hope. But after the adrenaline had died down and his senses had come back, it's like, wait, there's actually a way I could live? Oh, fuck, I want to live!
I want to live. Also, I can, like, take control of this whole organization and, change the world to my image, which is honestly probably my favorite subplot in the show. I liked Legoshi's, detective thing, but when it came to seeing what was going on in the underworld, I'm like, all right, let's watch Life with Louis for a bit.
Yeah, no, Louis' whole storyline with the Shishigumi is one of the best in the entire manga. It is stupendously told. And it also sets up a great dynamic for Louis moving forward. His whole, like, the way he looks at life, the way he looks at death, the way he looks at society, these all get shaped by the actions of people around him and how he takes charge. Again, it's all about not letting society define who you are. He's like, you know what? No, I am not some weak deer. I am not weak prey. I am going to control not only my fate, but the fate of others. And it's so good.
It does stick to that message a lot, both with Louis trying to prove that he can be a leader among carnivores, and Legacy trying to prove that he can be a carnivore that doesn't need meat to thrive. I think the moment that really clicked was the aforementioned strip club scene that really tried to make me want to have sex with a deer.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that scene is... like that scene is sexy to the hell up. Like they put a lot of fuck energy in that scene.
But it's also sort of interesting because while it is definitely a scene with a stripper going all the way to the bottom, it is also a very, like, the way it's presented is so clinical that for me, I don't know if I would have been able to get turned on in that scene.
It's first of all, but it is like a very sexy scene though, like the way they present everything. It's shot in a very classy manner, and none of the creatures are like anatomical, like, they aren't showing like full frontal or any sort of actual genitalia. But like the way they shot it is just like very seductive, and it's very much supposed to be playing on that carnal id. This is a deer dancing in a strip club for carnivores. She's in a cage and she's doing this dance like, I'm not in a cage, you're the ones in the cage. And then the cage drops and it's like, oh, I'm in a lot of danger.
That scene is very good.
It's horrifying.
Yeah. Oh man. That scene is such a great way to introduce Louis as the Shishigumi boss. It is a perfect juxtaposition, perfect framing. Oh my God.
And you get to see like the look on the tiger that jumped up there to like eat her face as the lights go on. It's like, wait, what's happening? What am I doing? He gets ripped up, gets like shit kicked out of him, and this this poor traumatized woman is just like, what's happening? And then like, oh, there's another deer here? What are you doing here, you pervert? And then she realizes he's in charge. She's like, what?
Yeah, it's very good. I also adore the scene where Louis finds Legoshi because that is such a dark moment for Louis. I feel like
yes,
to find Legoshi in the black market for him, that was like that for a
How
moment there.
dare you?
Yeah, for a moment there, it's like his heart is broken.
Yeah, especially because Legoshi is there trying to find like information on the killer and stuff like that.
Also, his fur, like he kind of looks like he's probably. The framing of that.
He looks manged.
Yeah, he looks like he's probably been eating meat. And then after he finds out that it's not the case, suddenly Louis is like, no, oh my god, you are actually better than all of us. You have to go and be a hero, dude.
Yeah, that whole scene where they brought Legoshi to the Shishigumi headquarters, which luckily none of them realized who he was after what he did last time he was there.
Yeah.
Such a good scene. Like, this show is so well paced and it leaves you kind of it really does leave you wanting more at the end of every episode until its finale.
Yeah. There's also one other scene that I really like. So, I'm surprised that they adapted this particular chapter, especially considering that I felt like they cut so much just to fit everything into the season.
The snake?
Actually, they extended the stuff with the snake. And you know what?
Like such a weird character. I mean, I understand the point of her, but
she is a weird character. And I don't feel bad about these spoilers. In the manga, she never comes back.
Yeah. Okay, then yeah, I'm further led to believe, man, they could have just given her role to anybody.
They really, honestly, I kind of do wish they would have cut her character. I do. I just do. I don't feel like she really did much of anything other than.
This is a very minor spoiler. She shows up at the beginning of episode 2.
Yeah, she's very early on. Now, that being said, there was another chapter, though, that they did cover that I was surprised that they did, but I really, really, really liked, so I'm kind of glad that they did, which was actually the, was she a cheetah or a leopard?
The cheetah, yeah.
With L's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a cute scene.
That was, again, because of the theme of the show, I felt like it was exactly what it needed.
Because it started off with the leopard being like, oh man, look at all the herbivores taking selfies with carnivores because they get more likes, and of course more herbivores have followers. Well, of course they do. It's that pack mentality thing. They're going through the idea of why some creatures are more popular than others, but as they start to see eye to eye more during their day out together, it's really cute and wholesome, which is interesting because it doesn't add anything to the overall plot of the show. This really felt, it could have felt like filler if you weren't paying attention.
Well, it doesn't add anything to the ongoing story.
Yeah.
No. But because of its themes and its message, this was so important because it shows a very fundamental, it communicates its fundamental theme of don't let society tell you who you should be friends with, how you should act, don't judge other people just because they belong to a certain group. Hear them out, figure out their problems. I really loved it. It was I don't know, it's a very sweet, important little story within the overall arc, and I'm glad it's covered. It also kind of feels a little frustrating because there was other things I felt really needed more room to breathe.
There is only one thing that I think I felt just kind of weird about, outside of the fact that why do cats have boobs? Wouldn't they be down here and wouldn't they have 6 of them? But the thing that really confused me, and I don't want to spoil the actual character, but once they reveal who the killer is, they reveal it kind of in the last third. There's 3 or 4 or 5 episodes left.
They reveal it on episode 6, I think.
Okay, then yeah, about halfway through or so.
Yeah.
Once they found out who the killer was, I felt like they spent way too much time kind of dillying about and how to deal with it. Because there were so many situations that I just kept thinking, why don't you go to the authorities? This guy literally murdered your friend.
Yeah.
What is going on here? Especially when somebody else gets in on there. It's somebody else finds out. So now there are 2 people's words against one person's word. And all this other guy is doing is just threatening them. It's I'm gonna fucking kill you if you say anything. okay, but you're gonna do that anyway if we don't, so...
The biggest reason I think they wanted to handle it was because they didn't want to get the police involved, because there had already been a huge issue of...
it's called a murder.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, but as you saw, after the first murder, they kind of, let up on it. They're like, well, we don't want to get too involved in the kids, and we don't want to disrupt their daily lives. Even the initial investigation is, really minimal, which is something that's covered more in the manga.
Yeah.
I think the anime is, again, hurt by some of the stuff that's cut, where they cover these kind of important things to the plot. The anime is more focused on the overall big strokes rather than the smaller stuff. The
anime is definitely focused on big strokes.
Yeah. But that being said, they didn't want to cause a huge, a lot of strife within the school, especially given what happened with the segregation of students, where they're talking about separating the kids.
So, but to that, wouldn't knowing who the killer is and putting that, having a carnivore find the other carnivore and bring them to justice help that case?
Possibly. It's a whole thing. Look, Paru Itagaki is more interested in compelling and interesting stories, and you know why they didn't go to the police.
Well, because the story would have ended. Yeah.
Yes, that is primarily the reason. Is there an incredibly good reason within the actual text itself?
No,
not especially.
I still also don't really understand the title of the show, the titular Beastar. They put this huge focus on it. You get a couple of scenes with this big committee saying, "Oh, you need to get us a Beastar from your place, and why haven't we gotten one? What happened to Louis?"
Yeah,
what is the Beastar?
That comes up more. Well, again, I'm really glad that we're getting more of the story, because season three's got a lot that kind of helps expand a lot of what we've been talking about.
Yeah, because from what I understand, at least from what has been presented, the Beastar is basically hey, this is a really cool person. Look at them. Look at them. A future leader maybe or something. Look at them.
Yeah. Also, in terms of the killer, I also think one of the biggest reasons was they had no proof.
He was pretty quick to say shit.
Yeah.
Get any recording device.
But they tried. Remember?
I actually don't remember them trying to record anything.
Remember when Pina walks outside with them and starts talking, and then the killer's like, "Hey, don't you know it's illegal to record shit?"
I guess I blanked on that scene.
No, there's actually that scene. Pina does try.
Okay.
But Pina also basically they realize that going to the police, they have no evidence. So they could come in, and then what happens?
I guess that's true. Although at that point, at least if you've informed the authorities, hey, this guy's a killer, and all of a sudden one of you pops up dead.
But then, you might be able to do that, but would you ever get justice?
I don't know. I mean, do you get justice with a random street fight?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
the street always wins.
Again, looking at what happened in the story, yes.
I guess.
I will say, the shonen power up at the end is not handled.
Pretty funny.
Not handled as well in the anime. Where in the anime it's very stylized. The look on him is very holy shit, that's badass. In the anime, I'm like, oh, you buffed him up and gave him spiky fur. Okay, I guess. He
looked like he just transformed out of Altered Beast.
Yeah, it looks a little darky in the anime, which fine, it's okay. I still the development there still hits.
Yeah,
that whole fucking story with how that goes down is oh, okay, way to go, Paru. She commits. I couldn't believe when I read that, I felt like my stomach dropped.
It was a very strong scene. I mean, it's a very strong show throughout. I still have questions, which I guess will be answered in future seasons. There's a few gaps in logic, which I guess, you've kind of convinced me on a lot of it, especially considering their legal system is probably very different from what I assume, as it is a animal world.
I'm sad. In that final episode where all the fallout happens, Like those are actual scenes, like actual full scenes that play out that they just kind of give a bunch of narration to and shove away.
Yeah.
And they're so, I feel like I really do hope they cover some of that stuff because the impact, the fallout is so important. And they're just like, oh yeah, and now blah blah blah, and can't do this now anymore. And it's like, oh, that's actually important, and it's just kind of swept away. Oh
Yeah.
well. But
No, they leave a lot of room for more story. Even though I think, even if we didn't get a season 3, I think that where it ends on season 2, you have told a story.
yeah, they told a complete story.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen season 1 of Beastars yet, this would be a good time to binge, I think.
Yes.
Because it is a very good show.
I'd also like to say that it's the next X minutes.
Well, there you go. It's been announced here then.
Yeah, because I did the Patreon poll, and yep, it was like, everyone's like, Beastars, do it.
I figured there was going to be like a strong pull for that. It was either going to be that or the My Hero, but I'm really glad that so many people are amped for Beastars because I know that you enjoy this show. I enjoy this show. It's, I don't know, like it just does so many things right. And even if you're like not a furry, that's a caveat that you need to say because you look at that show, it's like, fucking fur bait, blah. And I think that turns off a lot of people to even check it out.
It's absolutely
Oh, very much it is. Very much it is. But even if you're not into that community, even if like some of it like kind of weirds you out, as a tale, like if you like Zootopia, I think you would like this. This is a story about like if you just kind of look at them like people, and you're just looking at it as a story being told without the animal skins attached, I think you can still enjoy the story.
I think I personally do think that the animal stuff is.
It's kind of intrinsic to the
yeah,
world,
I don't think
if these are just people with the mannerisms that they have, I think you can buy it.
I think that I don't know. I do think that the artistic choices made by Padu ultimately are necessary for the story to work as well as they are.
Yeah,
like as they do. But it's I love Beastars. I've said this a million times. If you are a fan of the anime, please do check out the manga. It is very good.
And this is one of those situations where I think both sub and dub are like both really good. The dub is so good.
Yeah, just want to give a shout out. Like everyone does a fantastic job. I will say I felt like the script was a little embellished. And by embellished, I mean like I felt like there were certain lines that were said more plainly in the original Japanese, where in the English version they really flower it up, especially with Louis, which makes him sound like such a douche.
Oh yeah, but that kind of really fits his character though. You get these. There's so many great like character breakdowns you can have in this. The fact that Louis is just very much this. I need to be in charge. I need to have power. But he's so self-conscious and just like he has no confidence in himself. So he has to push forward that bravado to really show that he is the guy on top, and he does it very well. But then there are these scenes, another scene where he's talking to his capo in the because I was like, hey boss, I noticed that you're not feeling very good. I know you shouldn't be eating meat, so I went out and I got you this salad. He's like, fuck you, I don't need a salad. What do you think, I'm weak? No. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Just don't die. He like leaves.
Yeah, it's like look, it's gonna be really bad if you die, okay? Just like 5-hour energy is not a way to live.
Yeah, just eat your salad. I care about you. I love you, bro. I'm gonna go out there now. Just don't yell at me.
I also like Jonas Scott as Legoshi in this season is only better from the first season where he already was killing it. His deadpan delivery on some of those lines are hysterical. Yeah. Also, oh my god, I have to ask, what did you think during the cross-dressing scene?
I was so confused.
I
First of all, his fur grew back. So I'm like, that was quick. Second of all, what the fuck is happening?
No, I died. I was like, I remember reading that for the first time being like, if this gets an anime adaptation, I can't fucking wait.
It's like, He's trying to like pull the Bugs Bunny in there, and like the lion is just barely by. He's like, that is a very ugly woman.
Yeah. And I like how when Louis like, Ibuki, give us some space. Not a picky man.
He is
That's
not
our boss.
He is not picky.
Yeah, and I like he treats that like a virtue. Like, wow, he doesn't judge based on looks. Man, what a virtuous man he is.
What a goddamn champion.
I know, it's so good.
It's such a weird, fun show with a very good mystery tied into it. But yeah, what did you guys think? What did you guys think at home? Let us know in the comments. Let us know what you thought of Loki. What was your favorite Loki variant? I don't know. I'm just asking random questions. But until then, we'll see you guys next time on the Talkcast Podshow.
Bye.
Later, everybody.